There are two things which are important. Of course, we'll come to that in the next talk about meniscal excision versus repair. We need to be careful about which menisci can be saved and which can be excised. I think the next talk will be much more in detail about that. But we all know whatever we can save is fantastic. But be careful about jumping the bandwagons and trying different repairs. So I've seen people trying to repair spaghetti menisci with very, very bad results. So
I
just
think
be
differs
careful.
case to case. We have to decide that. Next talk
Absolutely.
will.
So it's always better individualize the treatment about based on the patient's status, the requirement of the actual tear. But excellent talk. Thanks.
Okay, so I think more light
Uh,
will be thrown on this by Dr. Shivam.
uh,
So Dr. Shivam, the
Yeah.
stage is all yours. Please go ahead.
I just want to. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
Shivam,
audible.
your slide is also
Okay.
visible and you are quite audible. Please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Can I proceed?
Yes,
Proceed, please.
So I at the outset I want to thank the Bihar Arthroscopy Society and Bihar Orthopaedic Association for organizing this webinar on all about meniscus, and the topic which I have been given to talk on is about meniscectomy versus repair, when and how. I'm thankful to Dr. Manish for making my job much easier by giving a very good overview about the anatomy and functions. And we'll be walking through about the pattern of injury, repair techniques, clinical results, decision making, and current recommendations. So anatomy has been well spoken of. We know that lateral meniscus is more articular and has more coverage, and is both of the meniscus are peripherally vascular. Patterns, I'm not talking about the patterns or the mode of injury on which the treatment has to be individualized, whether it is traumatic, degenerative. The most common in traumatic one is about ACL injury with vertical longitudinal tear patterns, which usually heals well. And degenerative, mostly in the older people, which are common horizontal cleavage types, which may heal poorly. Ramp lesions, new entities being discovered, and they are difficult to visualize, and root tears are something which warrants attention. Figure shows about the classification of the root tears, which will be talked later. The repair concerns whenever we are taking for the repair, that certain points are always being researched and taken care that what is the location of the tear in terms of a red or a red white zone, what is the configuration, what is the anatomy of the repair, whether it is a horizontal tear, whether it is a complex tear, whether it is a parallel beak, all depend upon the type of fibers which have been disrupted and the extent which is involved. What is the complexity of the repair, how old the repair is, and other thing which is an important factor is the patient's age and compliance. Another thing which we usually see about the knee stability and knee alignment. So these are the concerns when one is contemplating for a repair. The typical indication which has been taught to us and what we usually do is to go for an acute tear of meniscus, which is traumatic, mostly vertical longitudinal, having a length somewhere between 1 to 4 centimeters, and peripheral zone, red zone are more important in a young patient with a stable aligned knee. So the techniques we usually opt, which are, I'm talking of arthroscopic techniques like outside in, inside out, and all inside. In the outside end, that once the tear is identified through transelimination, a suture is passed from outside, retrieved, passed across the meniscus, and is tied over the capsular structures so that meniscus is opposed and reduced, and this is suitable for repair of anterior and middle third of the meniscus. The inside out is more of gold standard, usually practiced much and use specialized cannula like zone specific cannula. And the suture is passed from inside, and depending upon which meniscus we are dealing with, whether it is a medial and lateral, according to the anatomy, the neurovascular anatomy, incision is made and the suture is again tied so that the meniscus tear is reduced. It is mostly apt for the tears of posterior and middle third of menisci. All inside is the new technique, but mostly reserved for the posterior horn tear. And the 4th generation repair devices, they allow for placement of sutures in the meniscus, and then self-adjusting and sliding knots are applied so that meniscus is reduced. Medial meniscus, posterior horn, they are more important as told in the previous lecture because it bears most of the commercial strength. So what clinical results till now we have obtained based on the technique, whatever technique you are using? The technique is about 70 to 95% successful. When you do for a second look scopy, you find that the success rate has lowered, either because the pattern of the choice of the tear which was chosen was not correct, or the tear has not healed. It has reduced to 45 to 70%. Overall, five-year survivorship for an isolated meniscal repair ranges somewhere between 60 to 70%. Factors which affect maybe more, like complex tear, rim width, and many other factors which are affecting the outcomes. Ligament laxity is not addressed, then the repair is likely to fail and success rate further drops down. And the success rate in conjunction with ACL tear when ACL reconstruction is contemplated, and at the same time meniscal tear result can be as good as 90%. What is dilemma which is based on the evidence? We know that there is a higher functional outcome in repair, but as per literature, Baxter et al., there is a higher reoperation rate as well. There is a limited success in certain tear patterns like central tears. There is a longer rehabilitation and sportsmen might miss their present season. But in the study by Steen et al., the long-term result to the return to sport is as high as 96% as long as 8 years follow. What if you do meniscectomy? It affects the hoop stresses, it reduces them, but the result depends upon how much you are resecting it. As told, if you resect more, the tibiofemoral contact pressure increases more. And that is the reason an early onset degenerative joint disease is seen, but it may not be symptomatic as late as by 16 years. They can keep on working, but X-rays might not look good or MRI might not look good. Technically less demanding and a shorter rehab is there. So what are the tools what surgeons usually have in deciding what will do? The present knowledge, what standard indications are, and the intro of findings. And we have also some MRI-based speculations or predictions. And this is one of the tools which recently have been published in 2019 by alumni from our institute, our KSSTA, that they are taking, and which is all known as Ortho 1 prompt score from Ortho 1 hospital. They are taking criteria like age, chronicity, and X-ray features of the osteoarthritis, along with the zone of tear and pattern, and they are assigning the scores. As the score rises, chances of meniscectomy is increasing, and as the score is less than 6, meniscal repair is contemplated and it is predicted. With this scoring, they could find from their study that almost for medial meniscus, which is less mobile and more likely to re-tear, their sensitivity for repair is about 91%. That means if they have planned a repair on the MRI finding, similar repair they can do intraoperatively, and specificity is 93%. However, for lateral meniscus, the predictability is reduced. There is 69% sensitivity and 79% sensitivity is for meniscectomy. So what are the contraindications? Very long tear, we are going to excise it. Central radial tear, less than even 25% involvement should not be touched. Central avascular zone tears, complex, radial, flap, cleavage, all type of maybe better discarded with meniscectomy can be done. Degenerative meniscal tear articular cartilage in the ipsilateral compartment is in contradiction. Most important thing is an irreducible tear. Tear which you are trying to reduce and is not reducing, and you have fixed it in an unreduced position. This is going to land up in a fuss later. Unstable knee and older non-compliant patients are contraindications to it. And this is what the editorial of KSSTA by experts opinion has talked in 2020 in their second consensus regarding traumatic meniscal tear. They have generally agreed upon preserving the meniscus whenever possible. And they have said that meniscal pathologies like ramp lesions, root tears have high incidences than expected, and once visualized, they should be repaired regardless of the age. The risk benefit for using biologics like PRP and growth factor is yet to be researched, and it's an open arena. Degenerative tears, horizontal, complex, extending in the avascular zone, are becoming an extended indication of repair, because as the tear will less be addressed, more degeneration will continue. So tear has to be addressed by something amenable for repair. And there is a concept of combined resection and repair. And this is the part which need to be conservative in resection and more towards repair. So the revised indications are like patient factors. Patient has to be active. age is just a number. The patient can be active, but has to be compliant, has to have a BMI less than 30 and no significant comorbidities there. Tear characteristics more or less remain the same: red zone, red white zone, simple tear patterns, an acute tear associated with ACL reconstruction. But the most important thing, that tear, whatever you are going to repair, it should be without excess tension. There is a lower threshold for complete radial tear, root tear, ramp lesions, which we will see in the upcoming videos by our next speakers. So the current recommendations as the pendulum swings, and this is from the latest review, systematic review by Meniscectomy in 2019, published in EJOST, that there is a limited data comparing between these two techniques because of absence of RCTs. Partial meniscectomy can be done wherever the repair is contraindicated and the tear is symptomatic. There is no consensus for ideal technique. You can use either of the techniques on any of the implants, but there is no difference in the outcome as early as 5 years. The learning curve is rising, so meniscal repairs are rising because awareness for meniscal preservation is increasing. Focus is to save as much as possible. The most reliable technique is by placing vertical divergent sutures almost every 4 millimeter along the length of the tear. So length of the tear is no more an contraindication. Indication has been extended to any age which is having root tear, ram tear, and the patient has to be active and compliant. And the longer rehabilitation period in repair, as well as a chance of reoperation, has to be explained to the patient preoperatively.